Navigating leadership challenges in EEO in a changed world, to us, really came in the definition of how we saw a changed world. And for us, it was two-pronged. It was economic, and it was the exponentially expanding virtual community. What's going on here today was actually 15 months in the making. What we wanted to be able to do is to give a panoramic view of government. And all of us know that California is the state leading the economy, and what we were able to achieve today over these last 15 months is to bring together literally the leadership of our state's economy.
We've gotten 8 agency secretaries. I think we have perhaps 2 undersecretaries. One thing that this event does, which I'm really, really proud of, is that it features a panel of department directors speaking on what the best practices of equal employment opportunity are.
So we have prominently most of the governor's cabinet. We asked each of our speakers to give an insight or a philosophy that would guide their professional career.
There are 3 principles that I credit to helping me guide my career pathway. 1, know yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't let your gender, your ethnicity, or anyone else define you. You need to learn to define yourself to just be the very best you can be. In all my positions, professionally and politically, I always try to find to add value, whether it be adding value to your boss, adding value to your department, or adding value to any cause that you champion. No matter how talented you are, how gifted you are, success is often based on luck, timing, and opportunity. And you have to take advantage of that luck, timing, and opportunity that occurs in your jobs as public servants. You're here to find out, how can I excel in my job? How can I move ahead in state service? Do your homework. What does this opportunity entail? Who are the decision makers? Who are the people that you need to know to ask questions and advice how you can be the best candidate to apply for this position? Network, network, network. I cannot emphasize this enough. Build relationships outside your work activity. I also want to encourage you to take risks. You do have to take risks. You have to take risks to expand yourself. And when I say take risks, that's explore challenges of new responsibilities. Volunteer for new responsibilities if it's within your job. And speak up if you have something to contribute to a discussion. It's better to speak up and to have the manager realize that you're thinking, you want to participate, you want to be an interactive member of that manager's team to make that department better. Be a team player. Help others achieve their goals, because ultimately they will be there to help you achieve yours. And don't be afraid to admit what you don't know. Ask for advice. Asians had that opportunity to practice everything that I'm discussing right now to help you succeed as state civil service employees moving up the ladder.
So I went to a classic liberal arts college, and it was there that I ran into a very intriguing quote by Aristotle, which was basically that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So the reason I was drawn to it is because it is arithmetically incorrect to say such a thing. It's the equivalent of saying that 1 + 1 = 3. What it actually was a value statement. The more you work together is the way that I read into it, and the more you accept that there is a holistic way of living your life, and that there are more things to do, and that individuals can do great things and good things, but that teams, collective groups of people and communities can actually do amazing things and brilliant things and do things in terms of great change.
What I do or why I do what I do, it really kind of dates back to my parents. My dad held 3 jobs as a laborer, and I was always impressed with the fact that while there were a number of challenges we were faced with as a family, he was always able to navigate around those, I think collectively working with my mom and coming to a solution that really made it so that the kids didn't get impacted by the situation. They always kind of made it better. And I was the first to go to university, and early on, that commitment, I think, that my parents made, that hard work commitment, made me think about that, really challenges are a very interesting concept, and that either you're part of a problem or you're part of a solution. I spent 10 years in the private sector, and I can tell you that while there are some interesting things that I learned in the private sector, the discipline and the methodologies and the way we do business in government had a direct correlation to make me successful in the private sector. It was really the things I learned in government that made me successful in the private sector. And then when the governor asked me to consider coming back, would be to leave the private sector and come back, what drew me back is that commitment to public service, and being able to then make a change so that government actually did something and continue to do something that meant more than just, hey, you're a government worker. That we could actually do something that could support and help people to deal with the challenge they face. And in the context of disaster management, it was a perfect opportunity.
Childhood experiences really shape the kind of person that you are. And if you can tap those childhood experiences and understand how they impacted your life, you actually can turn the difficult ones into some real motivating, I think, opportunities. What my parents experienced in this little mining town was extreme racism, extreme poverty, and they basically were able to leave the community and get an education and turn their entire life around. And that had an indelible impact on me, because I grew up believing that, first, that everybody is good, that they have goodness in them. Second, that everybody has a talent. That third, that if they get a good education, they can overcome all obstacles, but that's an opportunity that this country offers that was not possible where my grandparents came from. And fourthly, that it's really imperative that we all have the same opportunities to be successful, because my parents were told as children that they never amount to anything. And they were punished for speaking Spanish in the classroom, despite the fact that in high school they had to take Spanish as a language. They were prohibited outside of the classroom from speaking Spanish. So, some really silly things. And so I didn't have to go through any of that, but my parents talked about it, and part of their lesson was that as a woman and as a woman of color, you're gonna have to work harder than anyone else to prove yourself. So you got to work hard. You've got to grab every opportunity to go out and learn something. But one of the things that I learned is when you see something that you think is not right, that unless you're willing to do something about it, that no one else is going to, in other words, if you are not willing to get involved in changing something, then you're not going to have anybody else do it. You've got to be able to lead the way and bring people along with you.
In my situation, my parents greatly influenced everything I've done in my entire life, to include leadership. I could say my philosophy is lead or follow or get out of the way. I started training for leadership when I was a small boy, because in my family, growing up, we had the responsibility to try to do things the best and try to do things that made a difference. So when I made a decision to go into the military, I had no idea that I would stay in the military. And so after being in the military a few years, I looked around and saw what leaders were doing. I said the same thing. I can do that. I can do that. It's a situation where all of you, and I did also, you also always need to be prepared in case the opportunity comes for you to do something great.
I think what you can offer is caring. Martin called it empathy. I think what's most important, and in order to get people to work together and to follow you, they got to know that you care. You got to care first and foremost about your people, about your team. be human to them, as Martin said. Understand, the environment that they're in, and offer your help or assistance in whatever way you can. Secondly, make sure that your team knows that you care about doing the right thing, that you're there to do a job because you want to do what's best and what's right.
You have to be nimble. That's how I'll say that. I think one of the things that I've always tried to do is to respect the individuals that I work with, and to get to know them, and appreciate the fact that life is hard, as many of the folks here have just said, and so we all have difficult issues that we're trying to deal with. Trying to keep that in mind as you're working with the people that are around you, and also get to know them and appreciate the fact that we are all different, and that's actually a good thing. We bring in different skill sets and different values to the job, and so I think that a large part of my job is trying to maximize those abilities and different skills that I see within the office. Set a tone in the office, try and make sure that people can feel that they can come to you and communicate with you, and that you will hear what they're saying. Communication, as you heard here, is very, very important. And let them know that they can tell you things and you will not immediately react. You will think it through, and you will come up with a reasoned decision, and you're there to help them. You're there to support them.
I think about where we are in state government now, because we have had these dramatic cuts. We don't have the resources we used to have. And in many ways, we have to have a willingness to let the status quo go, which also is a fantastic opportunity to be creative and more entrepreneurial in how we problem solve. And I think that what we're looking at also in the 21st century, I think about the issues facing agriculture and the need to rapidly double food production just to feed 9 billion people on this earth. Those are not problems that can be solved in the traditional ways. And I think many of the issues we face have become so complex that the word collaboration truly is the way that we will be able to do it, which goes beyond, I think, team building, to have that inclusiveness of all the perspectives, to know what each person's area of expertise is, the ability to communicate, the willingness to roll up our sleeves and have messy, tedious, process-driven discussions that will lead us to getting to richer, longer-lasting solutions. So it's this collaboration which really isn't taught, but I think it's the only way that we will be able to leverage the resources that we do have to work better and better across cabinet, across programs, across disciplines, to really solve the problems of the 21st century, and people who are willing to engage in that kind of a process with respect to the different viewpoints, with the willingness to listen and truly hear.
There's always a guiding force that is present in any event, and I think that we were really excited to see the composite of leaders that came forward. In each one of them, there was this introspection that allowed them to reach in and pull from them what has guided them, and then based upon the energy and the momentum and the interconnectivity as the day went forward, they gave really profound, insightful value.
And as you pointed out, in terms of what happened to Maeley Tom, in terms of leading a panel of 10 agency secretaries on that. And so I think it's really quite amazing in terms of we were able to get that type of number of secretaries.
I think what this event was not the context of this 8 hours that we spent together, but more importantly, it was a threshold.
And I'm looking forward, now that we have the MOU signed between APSEA and USC, that we are going to be engaging in a series of workshops in terms of continuing this brand of leadership.
And so this is a conversation that began on November 8th, 2012, but it is a conversation and focused on leadership that will continue, that we hope, for an untold number of years.
Bigger things are coming.